So for the first time since April, is SPCE Virgin Galactic showing us signs or signals of a potential buy opportunity? What's going on, guys? My name is Xander with Facer Trading Academy. If you guys are new here, we do these videos every single Monday and Friday evening. And today we're going to be talking about Virgin Galactic SPCE. Before we do that, I do want to go over the overall market just so that you guys can get a sense of what's happening in the overall market, and then we can look into SPCE specifically and the technicals in that particular ticker. So as you guys can see, before we jump into QQQ, which is the overall market, the overall NASDAQ market, I do want to note a couple of things, and mostly the reason why I want to talk about QQQ before we talk about SPCE. And the reason for that is, as you guys can see, we've been selling off for the last, I would say, 2 weeks on SPCE. And if you guys look at QQQ and the overall market, SPY did the exact same thing. Is we've actually been seeing a sell-off in the overall market as well. So a lot of people were wondering as to, hey, is SPCE still a good buy? Is it time to sell? Is it time to bail? I absolutely think not. And I actually think the opposite. We should be buying right now. At least that's what I'm doing. And so I'm going to share what my thought process is, what I'm watching, what I'm paying attention to, and why I think it's a great deal. So before we jump into that, let's go ahead and jump into QQQ, talk about that real quick. If you guys have been watching the channel, you guys know that besides SPCE, we also trade QQQ, which we trade TQQQ and SQQQ, the inverse ETFs for it. And I do want to give you guys a bit of some insight on the technicals as to what's happening with QQQ. So if you guys can pay attention to the lower section here, you guys can see the MACD. And what we're starting to see is we're starting to see this convergence happening right here. We're about to see that convergence happen and cross, and that's indicating a buy signal for us. We're also coming off of extremely oversold levels, not even as extreme as SPCE is right now. That's why I think SPCE is a really good deal, but that's what we're coming off of in the overall market. And when the overall market sells off, so will SPCE. When the overall market pushes higher, SPCE will do the same. And we actually have something really crazy happening. We have another flight scheduled for September 8th, which is really just around the corner. So if the overall market starts taking off, SPCE is going to start taking off with the overall market. On top of that, we have that Galactic 3 flight happening on the 8th, which is going to be another boost for the ticker, giving us a very good opportunity. And we're going to jump into that a little bit later. So again, with QQQ, we're seeing this test here of this blue line right here, which is the exponential moving average on the daily chart right here. So if we break above that, we're going to start testing this 370, 372 zone, which is where we got rejected previously. But from what we're looking at on the technical side, it looks like we are going to come back up, test this, potentially break it, and start pushing higher to probably those previous highs where we saw just on the 10th of last month. So I do anticipate we do see this move happen, at least test that zone, which is going to be around that 385 zone and potentially higher. So that 385 is going to be my target if we break to the upside. And that's when I'm going to be jumping into TQQQ. So on the downside, again, we're going to be looking at that 355, 356 zone as a potential support, which was our previous support. So that's where we're going to be looking for a support if we do get rejected by this exponential moving average. But I do anticipate we break above it and test this 370, 372 zone, break above that, and push up to previous recent highs, which is that 385 zone. So that's kind of what I'm expecting, potentially go higher to that 400 zone. And that would really push us to this overbought territory, which would be a great take profit zone. But I'm going to be looking into lock-in profits around that 385, 390 zone. If the market's strong, I will definitely leave some size in there and just max it out. But I will be trading very cautiously. So that's just the overall picture of the overall market. On a 4-hour and a daily, or a 4-hour and some smaller time frames, it's really going to be very similar. It was really choppy today, so we were pretty much just testing this exponential moving average this week. If we break above it, that's really what's going to be that tell-all, telling us if the market's going to be recovering or if we're going to see more downside. So that's just something that I wanted you guys to pay attention to on the overall market. Now let's go ahead and jump into SPCE. which is why most of you guys clicked on this video. And let's talk about that, right? So if you guys have been watching this channel, or if you're new here, you guys can go back and watch some of the previous videos where we talked about SPCE. We made those calls, and we've caught this move this year all the way up to this almost $5. It was actually like 5.10 or something like that. So we caught that move on this channel when I made that announcement. We also caught this next move right over here that made it all the way up to $6, and this really small move at the very end, right before we started seeing the overall market selling off, and we saw SPCE naturally sell off along with the market. Now, what I want you guys to pay attention to, and I haven't really seen too many people talking about this, but I do want you guys to pay attention to this small little thing that is getting me really excited about this particular ticker. So if we're looking from the beginning of this year, we've only had this event happen 3 times. And let me go ahead and grab a drawing tool and show you guys. The first time that we saw support form right over here, we were extremely oversold on the daily chart on the RSI. We were very oversold. What did we see next? We saw a nice push up to the upside, hitting that $6 zone, made a double top, and started seeing a sell-off. This double top right here, and we started seeing a sell-off. And that led to our second opportunity right over here, where we became extremely oversold again. And what did we see after that? Not only one push, but we saw another push back up to that $6 zone, right? So twice we were oversold, twice we pushed up to $6. Now we started seeing a massive sell-off happen. We did have a little bit of a pop. That was a great, take profit zone if you guys caught that move. But the third opportunity of this year is forming since April. And again, found support right over here, 246. Yes, we made new lows, but if you guys watch some of my previous videos, I was talking about that $3 zone, that 3 to 320, 330 zone to be a good accumulation zone. Every time we came down here, I was like, hey, this is a great accumulation zone. Came down here again, I was like, 320, that's a great accumulation zone. We came down again right over here, great accumulation zone, saw another pop. Now we're coming back down again to that 246 zone. So if you guys thought that $3 was a great accumulation zone, 246, especially with the way these technicals are set up, is an astonishing opportunity in my opinion. That's what I'm taking advantage of. This is where I am adding more size and buying up SPCE. And again, what do we see on the RSI on the daily chart? Extremely oversold. We have the market, which we just talked about earlier in this video, starting to form that reversal to the upside. We also have a new flight, Galactic 3, scheduled for September 8th. So those two things, plus the technicals that are adding up, we found support here at 246. And what do I expect? I do anticipate we're going to push up to this 380 zone, which was previous resistance right up here. I mean, it was previous support. It's going to act as a potential resistance zone. But if the catalysts are strong, we're probably going to see a break above, test, and a push potentially up to $6, as we've seen every single time that we were extremely oversold this year. So just something that you guys should pay attention to. This is what I'm paying attention to. Ideally, I'm adding a lot of size here at 246. My stop personally is around that $2 zone right over here. So that's where my stop is for this position that I'm accumulating, around that $2.40 to $3 zone. In that general range, this is where I'm starting to accumulate SPCE. And I am anticipating that this does push up near that $4 zone. If it's going to be strong, I'm going to obviously adjust my stop to a little bit higher. And as the market moves, as SPCE moves up, I'm going to keep adjusting that stop. So that way I ensure that I lock in those profits. But we're going to at least that 380, 360 zone, potentially $4. And if we break above that, we're going to break not only out of this descending triangle, but we're also going to break above this previous support, which is going to cause the mark, or cause this particular name to shoot right back up to that $6 zone. I talked about this about 2-3 weeks ago before we saw the overall market sell off. It was one of those things that, you can't necessarily, predict. It just happens. But even if you didn't get out at this top that we saw that little push up before we started seeing a sell off. Even if you did hold through this 320 zone, seeing this sell off, let's talk about a little bit of risk management and kind of position sizing and how that all stacks up, right? A little bit of risk to reward and what you guys should anticipate. So from current price points, we're looking at, if we go down to our stop, we're looking at about, I would say 22% down to this $2 zone, 22 to 23% out of risk, right? If you're accumulating at this 246 zone, if we come down to $2, which is where my stop is. Now on the flip side, that's 22%. Now on the flip side, if we run up to this $3 to $4 zone, we're looking at about 48 to 50% profit. So it's a 2-to-1 risk to reward ratio. Now, if we shoot back up to that $6 zone, which is where we ended up seeing resistance every time we bounced off of this extremely oversold level, you're looking at about 132% of potential for profit. So again, if you guys thought it was a great deal at that 350 to 360 zone, 246 is an absolute steal. This is where I am loading up on SPCE. I do anticipate we're going to go up to $4 on this next reversal move with the overall market and with this new Galactic 3 launch that we're going to be seeing here in September. But we do have a lot of potential and room to shoot back up to that $6 zone for that $132 or 132% potential for profit. Now, again, this is just something that I'm paying attention to. This is something that I'm doing and taking advantage of, and I just wanted to share with you guys. So let me know in the comments down below what you guys think SPC is going to do, if this technical analysis makes sense for you guys, if that comparison between the overall market and this particular ticker makes sense to you guys, and if you think that that launch, that flight for Galactic 3 is going to have a very positive impact on the stock price of SPCE, or if it's just going to be like, just another flight. Nobody's really going to care. So let me know in the comments down below. If you guys enjoyed this content, make sure to smash that like button and subscribe before we jump out of this video and let you guys go. I did want to talk about two other things. I want to talk about some key economic data that's going to be released this week. If you guys are interested, stick around. Today, we didn't really have too much important things going on. On Tuesday, the 29th, we have CB consumer confidence for the month of August. We have JOLTS job openings for July. And then on Wednesday, we have the ADP non-farm employment change for the month of August. We have GDP quarter over quarter for quarter 2. And then we have pending home sales month over month, crude oil inventories on Wednesday as well. Thursday, we have continuing jobless claims. We have core PCE price index for the month of July, core PCE price index year over year for the month of July, initial jobless claims. And that's pretty much it for Thursday. And then Friday, we have our average hourly earnings month over month for the month of August. And then non-farm payrolls for the month of August, unemployment rate for the month of August, ISM manufacturing PMI for the month of August, ISM manufacturing prices for the month of August, and that's pretty much it for Friday. So quite a bit of economic data that's going to be released this week, so make sure to be paying attention to that. That will dictate how the overall market reacts, and in turn, that's going to dictate how SPCE behaves in price action. The last thing before we jump out of this video is going to be talking about some earnings that are happening this week. I do want you guys to note this. This might have some impact on the overall market besides the economic data that's going to be released as well. Tomorrow, before market open on Tuesday, we have NEO, we have Best Buy reporting, we have Big Lots reporting. After market close, we have HP, we have that's really the big one that I would pay attention to is HP, and it's not even that huge to really be too worried about it, but definitely an interesting one to pay attention to. Market before market opens on Wednesday, nothing too exciting. After close, we do have Salesforce reporting, Okta, Chewy. And then Thursday, we have UBS, which is a big one to pay attention to. And we do have Lululemon, which is a popular one, and Dell reporting on Thursday, Friday. Nothing too exciting. I wouldn't really worry about it. So that's pretty much it for you guys. If you guys enjoy this video, again, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe. We do these videos on Mondays and Fridays. Mondays, we usually do an overall market recap and talk about something like SPCE. And Fridays, we'll usually post either a speech, which last Friday, we posted Jerome Powell speaking. So if you guys haven't watched that, make sure to click on that link. I'll post it probably right up here. You guys can watch that. Check out some of the previous SPCE videos and see, kind of do some back testing on how how SPCE reacted after we made those videos, so you guys can kind of see some proof of concept. And then again, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and I'll see you guys on next week's Stock Talk video.